what? I'm going to choose, because in 2024, we all have the choice to be optimistic or pessimistic, to be upbeat or a negative Nancy Debbie Downer. I'm going to choose to be optimistic about what the Panthers have this upcoming weekend. They have a chance to play spoiler against a division rival, and that should be motivating. Right? These are competitive people. Even the worst professional athletes are competitive people. You do not want to be seen as the easy win to get to the playoffs for the Bucs. You do not want to be seen as, oh, thank goodness we need a win and we're playing the Panthers. That's what they're thinking right now. That's what Bucs fans are thinking right now. Tampa and New Orleans sit at 8-8, both. Tampa is playing Carolina. New Orleans is playing Atlanta. You do not want to be the, oh, thank goodness we're playing Carolina side of things. That is an opportunity for you to change reputation. That is an opportunity for you to head into the offseason on a positive note. Think about, heck, go back. We have a YouTube page, 99.9 The Fan. Please subscribe. We have podcasts. We have all the different ways you can go back into the archives. Go back and listen to the 2 Monday shows following the last 2 games for the Panthers. Both losses, right? Both losses. But in one, Bryce Young in the offense was wildly efficient, threw for 312 yards, scored a bunch of points. The next, the offense looked anemic, couldn't get out of their own way. Would you rather go into the offseason like you did 2 weekends ago, where everybody's excited, everybody thinks Bryce turned a corner, all of those sorts of things, or do you want to go into it like you did on this past Monday, which was, a lot of talking off metaphorical ledges? This is your last impression. Everybody talks about first impressions, and they are important, and I get it. And let's just be real. First impression of this year's Carolina Panthers, not the best. But your last impression is probably the second most important impression. When the next coach takes over, guess which game film he's going to pop in first? This one, right? He wants to see who was playing well at the end of the year. What is he taking over? What type of players? How did they develop? Boom. Hit play. When the new staff takes over, they're going to start with this game when watching film. So everybody on the team that has a contract for next season, this is an important game for you. Everybody on the team that doesn't have a contract for next season, this is a really important game for you because you're about to hit the open market. It's the ultimate Stafford effect game for Bryce Young, right? And I've talked about the Stafford effect. The Stafford effect is when one game to an outsized nature decides how well the casual public thinks a quarterback played. For Matt Stafford, since he was on the Lions for all those years, it was always the Thanksgiving game. How he played on the Thanksgiving game let everybody know how well his season played. If he had 4 touchdowns on Thanksgiving, everybody thought, wow, he's such a good player on a bad team. If he threw 3 interceptions, it was, wow, he's really fallen off since joining the Lions. And all the other games were at 1 o'clock for the Lions, 1 o'clock on Sundays, mixed in, nobody watched him. So that one game had an outsized effect on how everybody saw him. This game for Bryce Young will have an outsized effect, not on how well he played this year, but on how well he developed this year. If he leaves on a big note, everyone's going to go, wow, look at him. Maybe it's connecting. Maybe it took him a year. Maybe he's a rookie that we needed to give time to. If he goes into the offseason with another game like last weekend, another game where nothing works, where it doesn't look like he's seeing the rush and the rush is in his pocket, right? It's right there in front of him. Well, then you're going to have the other problem, right? You're going to have people in the offseason going, could they Kyler Murray or Josh Rosen to Kyler Murray this guy? Could they find, and by the way, they don't have the draft capital to do that.
Yeah.
But would they be going, hey, you know what, maybe next year is a tank year. Maybe they're looking towards the next draft, going, what quarterbacks are available the next year? Do we really like Shedeur Sanders? Maybe J.J. McCarthy goes back. I don't know. We're not getting into the 2025 draft right now, but I'm saying the difference between the next coach having excitement about Bryce Young and anticipation for how we're going to get away from Bryce Young starts with how he plays this weekend against the Bucs.
I have a question for you on this, though.
I love it.
When it's April and it's minicamp and you're the new head coach, do you really care what he did in this Week 18 game? Does it really matter?
Does
it really, is that momentum into the offseason when you have a new coach and a new system? I don't think so.
Absolutely it does.
I don't think so.
How many good games does he have?
I don't think it doesn't matter how he plays this weekend, good or bad. It's a completely different coach, a completely different system.
Well, they're going to have to judge him on something. Their first impression is going to be well before minicamp. They're going to do something between then and minicamp, and it's going to be tossing in the film. And if you can look at the last month and say he has a game-winning drive, he has a 300-yard passing game, he had one clunker, and then he got back on the right track, that's a solid month to end your season on. If you throw the film on and you go, geez, the same bad production we saw in the first month is the same bad production we saw in the last month, all right, well, let's see how bad it is going into minicamp. I'm not talking, no one's going to make any hard and fast decisions, but those are the things that get put into the back of your head as a coach that are really, really hard to change, right? How many times have we seen players at one place the coaches hate them? It's like, well, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think coaches set out to say, that guy, I'm never going to play him. But it's hard once you get a first impression of a player to change that. And then they go, right, that player goes to another place, gets a fresh start, and plays better. I don't think it's always conscious, right? So if you have a better last month than first month, I think that's big. And he has the bones of a really good month to end the season on. He had a game-winning drive. He had his best game as a rookie. Last week was really, really tough, but if he can bounce back from that and end on 3 or 4, that's kind of what good rookies do. Like if you get 3 or 4, I'm all right with that. This is your last chance to change that impression. And I mean, not only that, like every athlete, regardless of new coach, new team, whatever, your offseason is kind of, you launch into your offseason off the last game, right? If you're a young player and you play well in your last game, maybe you take a week and a half off to get your body right rather than 2 weeks because you're really excited to get back. It's just it's the little things. I do think it matters. Now, it definitely matters for Tampa Bay, and you definitely should, for lack of a better term, hate your division rivals enough that you want to be the upsetting of the apple cart. And, by the way, you don't own your first-round draft pick. So it's not even a situation like last year where the Houston Texans messed themselves over by winning a game late in the season. You have no reason not to go win this game unless you're really, really angling for that. Actually, I don't even think you can lose the 33rd pick.
No, you can't.
They already locked it in.
It's already locked.
Go win the game. Ruin Tampa's season.
Yeah,
make it tough for Baker.
Yeah.
A little payback.
And Tampa Bay is like, all right, guys, let's not be the team that misses out of the playoffs because we lost to Carolina.
You have the gall to go to Tampa and play way better at quarterback than you played for the Panthers? Nah, we're not going to let that fly, Baker. That would be my thought process. Rally the troops, Chris Tabor. Rally the troops.